الذين تدعون من دون الله عباد أمثالكم فادعوهم فليستجيبوا لكم إن كنتم صادقين ألهم أرجل يمشون بها أم لهم أيدي يبطشون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم آذان يسمعون بها قل ادعوا شركاءكم ثم كيدون فلا تنظرون إن ولي الله الذي نزل الكتاب وهو يتولى الصالحين والذين تدعون من دونه لا يستطيعون نصركم ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يسمعوا وتراهم ينظرون إليك وهم لا يبصرون صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning His Qudrah Kamila, complete ability of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the total power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now compared to that are these idols and these other gods and goddesses and godlings that you have concocted and that you believe in. A comparison is made that how can an intelligent being, like a human, how can you serve and prostrate and worship such things? Now in our minds, often we may think that, well, yeah, these idolaters, mushrikun, they were worshipping idols. Now that's quite primitive, right? I mean, who bows down to stones and you make something with your own hands and then you bow down to it and do sujood to it and whatnot. So we understand that to be primitive. In reality, anything anyone worships besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you get to the depth of it, it's the same idea. And over here, if they are worshipping and prostrating to stones and twigs and whatever they make with their own hands, then on the other hand, the person who says that, let's take the position of those that say there is no God. So then what are you believing in? Eventually they'll say something along these lines that yes, something came out of nowhere and then that super atom, etc., etc. Words are given with no meaning behind it. So now you're giving power to something which you yourself don't know. You yourself are not pinpointing what exactly that is. And in fact, it actually is an illogical statement that something just comes out of nowhere, right? That something created itself, or that it's a particular atom and whatnot. So that atom that you're saying that came from, if you're connecting existence and you're attributing existence to that, you may not prostrate to that. You may not say that it's giving you certain orders and whatnot, but the pedestal and the position that you're giving, that to say that this is what created everything and it's coming from that's a godly position that you're giving. So yes, to a certain degree, when we look at these and listen to these incidents or come to know of the acts of the people at the time of ignorance, and this is no different as well, this is also ignorant, and we may say that's primitive. In fact, any worship to anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just as ignorant and baseless. So when تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يتبعوكم, the Quran Kareem uses a very simple line of argument. That look, anything that if you are worshipping this being, it needs to at least be an intelligent being. It needs to be something which can be responsive, right? Why would you worship something which doesn't respond to you? So if you're going to call unto this being, whether it is for your own needs or you are asking something of this being or you are calling this being towards a certain direction, will this idol of yours, or now again, this isn't specific to an idol, anything that you give godly attributes to, knowingly or unknowingly, whether you acknowledge or don't acknowledge it, will it respond or not? So the Quran says that it doesn't respond. These things do not respond to you. سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْكُمْ أَدَعُوتُمُوهُمْ أَمْ أَنْتُمْ صَامِتُونَ. Whether you call unto these things or whether you remain silent, either way, it makes no difference. So this is a very simple, anyone at any level can understand this, that if you're going to attribute any such qualities of ability and capacity and being able to fulfill needs, at the very minimal, that being should be intelligent. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ عِبَادٌ أَمْثَالُكُم. All of these things that you call unto other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are all slaves and creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like yourselves. Just as you don't worship one another and you should not worship one another, like that it makes no sense to worship these other beings as well. فَدُعُوهُمْ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you're truthful in your claim, let's see, why don't you call out to them and let's see what response comes from them. أَلَهُمْ أَرْجُلٌ يَمْشُونَ بِهَا. That now they would make these gods with feet and eyes and ears and hands and all of these things. So the Quran is saying that أَلَهُمْ أَرْجُلٌ يَمْشُونَ بِهَا. These feet they have, these legs they have, are they walking with them? Do you see any type of life over there? Is there any response over there? أَلَهُمْ أَيْدٍ يَبْطِشُونَ بِهَا. Their hands, their arms that you've made for them, do they grasp with it? أَعْيُنٌ يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا. These eyes, do they see through it? آذَانٌ يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. Ears that they hear through. قُلِ ادْعُوا شُرَكَاءَكُمْ. That, O Rasul of Allah, tell these people, ادْعُوا شُرَكَاءَكُم. Go ahead and call out to your shuraka, to these partners that you have made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ كِيدُونِ فَلَا تُنظِرُونَ. Then you go ahead and plot against me. Meaning, the da'wah of the mushrikun was against that of the Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the one end is the hizb of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those that worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other is that of shaitan and their practices. So now there was this conflict, and that they are plotting against Islam, against Muslimin, and against the da'wah of Islam. So the Rasul is being told that, go ahead, tell them, كِيدُونِ فَلَا تُنظِرُونَ. Don't leave any stone unturned. Don't give any respite. Do whatever you want using your goddesses and gods. We will see what the result will be. Why? إِنَّ وَلِيِّ اللَّهِ. This is the iman and belief and conviction every believer is to have. That إِنَّ وَلِيِّ اللَّهُ الَّذِي نَزَّلَ الْكِتَابِ. That indeed my patron, my protector, wali here, my muhafidh, the one who protects me, he is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who revealed the kitab. Why is this being mentioned? Because it's the law of the Quran Kareem, it's the lessons from the Quran Kareem, it's the da'wah and the call of the Quran that you do not agree with, that you have a problem with. So having a problem with this da'wah is having a problem with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one that protects me. The same Allah, the same Rabb whose Quran that I recite unto you and that da'wah that I'm calling you towards, He is the one who is my patron, and He's the one that will protect me. إِنَّ وَلِيِّ اللَّهِ الَّذِي نَزَّلَ الْكِتَابِ. And it's not only me, وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ. This ayah is so pertinent in our context if we have conviction and iman upon this. That إِنَّ وَلِيِّ اللَّهِ. That our muhafidh, our protector, who we look unto is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as we fulfill the criteria of the الَّذِي نَزَّلَ الْكِتَابِ though. That's the condition. We've spoken about this multiple times. That we believe in Allah, we believe in Allah, but what Allah tells us to do as an ummah, not just as mere individuals, as an ummah, as a community, how much of the Kitabullah, how much of the Quran Kareem are we ready to uphold in our own lives and as a community, as individuals? So Allah is our muhafidh alladhi nazal kitab. As long as I fulfill the conditions which is laid out in the Kitabullah, as long as I am true to the Quran Kareem, then waliyi Allah as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my wali, He's my patron, He'll protect me, He's my guardian. وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ. I don't think this is specific to only the Nabi or the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, but all salaha, all those that are salih. Salih we translate as righteous. What is piety? What is righteousness? Simply following what the Quran Kareem and the Sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has laid out for you. That's it. It's not that someone who is performing so many rak'at and extras and this and that. And no, it's a very simple idea. It's a very simple idea that a person needs to fulfill. The ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's salah. وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also safeguards those that are righteous. وَالَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ. Those you call unto other than Allah, لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ نَصْرَكُمْ. They cannot assist you. وَلَا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَنصُرُونَ, nor can they assist themselves. This is, for us, this is beyond just idol worship. Yeah, believers, whenever there is a problem with us, either as individuals or in the ummah at large, then we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek assistance in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot turn to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't turn to other than Allah. And definitely you don't turn to those that are a'da and the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and expect any assistance from there. That person, those individuals, those groups, those ideologies who themselves openly disregard Allah and His Rasul, and they show open animosity and enmity towards Allah and His Rasul, then how unbecoming is it of a believer that again you knock on those same doors, that again you plead to those and expect again that some good and khair will come from them. وَالَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ نَصْرَكُمْ وَإِن تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَى الْهُدَى لَا يَسْمَعُوا. If you call them towards righteousness, towards guidance, towards the right path, لَا يَسْمَعُوا, they don't even hear it, let alone be able to follow those instructions. وَتَرَاهُمْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَيْكَ وَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. They may look to you as if they are physical things which look, which see, but in reality there is no sight over there. Meaning these are all empty things. Anything besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as these things, these idols are empty, there's nothing, no assistance, no help, no hope that is over there. All of these other idols people have made in their lives, which is anything which is besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Money is also an idol. Fame is also an idol. Other powers and other forms of governance, those are also people's idols. You may not prostrate to them, but it serves the same it serves in the same capacity for these people, that they expect from it, they hope from it, they want from it, they desire from it, they look up to these things. So that's what worship is. It doesn't have to be in one particular way, that only when you're doing ruku and sajda to something, that's called worship. This also, for some people, a phone may be their idol. Morning, night, all they're concerned about, just the way, if the mu'adhin calls towards salah, we answer that call. So any beep that comes, immediately they answer, they're gone. It can be in the middle of salah, it can be, you may not pick it up, but your concentration immediately goes there. It's the same idea. It may not lead you to kufr, some of these, but the idea of idolizing and having almost giving these kind of godly attributes to these things, these are existent. These are all smaller idols which we need to remove from our hearts, from our thinking. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the understanding of the Quran and Sunnah.